And now presenting from Baltimore, Maryland, Steve L. Greenfield.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. First I thought I'd talk about pet peeves. I always like that term, pet peeves. Just sounds weird. Everybody has something in their lives that just drives them crazy. They actually alter their lives because of this thing. Some people go crazy when somebody turns without a blinker in front of you. I'm one of those people. I can't stand that. But I'll tell you what my biggest one is. Hair on the soap. Nothing like going in the shower after your spouse and looking at the soap and there's this little curly hair looking at you. Right? And you don't want to touch it, so you try to hold it up underneath the faucet to try to get it to wash itself off. But it doesn't happen. It just relocates itself somewhere else on that side of the soap. And now you're getting frustrated. You don't want to have to touch it. Finally, you have to give in and you got to scrape it off with your nail. But it's really bad when you're a bachelor and you get into the shower and it's your own hair you got to scrape off. Well, you know, I got in this morning and I saw that hair and I was like, guess I'm skipping the shower this morning. Have you ever noticed that you can't control the volume of your mind when you're thinking? Every thought is at the same volume level. You know, you can scream and your mind won't be any louder than if you whispered in your mind. It's always the same volume. How many guys out there go into a public restroom and can't pee if somebody's standing at the urinal next to them? It's like your junk gets shot. It doesn't affect everybody, but I've been in bathrooms where the guy stands next to me and I don't hear anything. Then when I walk away, I start to hear the drizzle. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of like that too. The minute somebody leaves behind me, everything goes back to normal and I can do it, it's fine. But what gets me is like when you're drunk, you're on that 12th beer, you don't give a shit. You walk in the bathroom, you can have a whole line of people there, man, and you're standing 2 feet away, taking a drizzle in there, man, trying like you're blowing up a balloon at a circus and you're trying to race everybody. Look what I can do. You know, you don't give a shit. Yeah, and I mean like further to that, how many times do you go in there and you're drunk, you got like 12 beers in you, you need to piss out, you're standing there and it's one of those forceful pisses. You're not moderating it, you're just whooshing it out as fast as you can because you got more drinking to do. So you're standing there real close because you don't want anybody to see and you're taking your piss. And the piss is just reflecting off the porcelain and you're getting more on the front of you than you are keeping in the urinal before you flush, you know? And while we're on the topic, how many people have to take a piss in in the men's bathroom and you got a fart coming and, out of decency you try to hold it back, but while you're pissing you can't do two things at once. You can't hold that fart back while you're pissing because everything's just letting loose at once, right? So you get, my luck, I get a guy walking right behind me to go to the next urinal and I'm already in motion and I'm peeing and I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta squeeze one out. Whap! Just as he walks by. I used to get embarrassed about it. I don't give a shit anymore. Sometimes you even get somebody else in the bathroom that's like, right on, grade A, man. And I always wonder if women in their bathrooms do that shit too. They're in the stalls doing their business and somebody queefs or something and, it's like, Margie, good one. So I have friends who send me stuff on the internet, just like those, you ever seen those random bits of knowledge that you didn't really know or care about? Well, I don't care, but I still read them anyway. And I saw one, it's like, did you know that you cannot sneeze and keep your eyes open? You will blink. You cannot keep your eyes open. And going back to the pissing in the urinal story, I found out when you sneeze and you're pissing in the urinal, that stops too. Like your stream stops while the sneeze happens, then you resume. But the thing is, between the peeing and the eyes, those are two things that are affected by a sneeze. And that's what's really interesting because I sat there and practiced for hours. Achoo, 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 and I blinked every time. Well, finally, I was sitting in my doctor's office, waiting to get a physical, and this is a true story. There was a little old lady sitting at the chair across from me, and I was sitting there practicing, and I decided to try to just hold my eyes open while I sneeze. So I had a sneeze coming, and I put it to my hands, just widen my eyes, and I was actually looking right at her, and the sneeze came, and I was like, Iggy! And she jumped, and I knew it must have been a funny face because the face she gave me back was like, shocked me. And it happened to be a rainy day, and she had an umbrella next to her, and Basically, when I went in to get my physical done, I had to have the umbrella removed from somewhere too. So it was a good thing I was in the doctor's office. How many of you use the soap down to nothing before you put the next bar in the dish? Cheapskates. As long as there's no hair on it, right? Sometimes I can't even get it to shrink down to nothing. Usually at some point it breaks in half. So I have 2 halves of a little piece of soap in the dish. And I'll use like 1 half one morning and the other half the other morning. That's how cheap I am. Anyone ever took a bath using laundry detergent? Hey, that'll get you clean. Oh, jeez. Hey, anybody here watch old game shows that they grew up with? Probably not as much as me, but I was actually watching some reruns of The Price is Right lately. Got the DVD where Bob Barker still had like black hair. Remember those days? It was just like perfectly combed, and then I remember like I must have been absent for a couple years of Price is Right because I remember coming back to it in the late '80s, and all of a sudden it was like completely white, like he stuck his head in a bottle of Clorox or something, right? But the one thing about Price is Right, and I love the game, always watched it, loved it. The one thing I always had a problem with was that asshole that always bid $1 more than you, to where you didn't have a chance in hell of winning to get up on out of contestants row. Pissed me off. I'd be there like, you son of a bitch. Somebody would bid like 700, and then you get this like son of a bitch next to them, like 701, smiling their asses off. And you got to be a good sport on camera. So the person there's like they know they don't have a shot now unless they got it right on the money, and they're just like really calm, and I'd shit right on camera. I would have choked that son of a bitch. You fucking son of a bitch. It'd be like your last chance. It's the last game before the showcase is coming up, and you've been sitting there since the beginning of the game trying to get up on the stage. That would have been it. That would have been it. I choked that son of a bitch and would have made game show history. I would have been on one of like those Ben Stein blooper shows or something. And then I guess the tagline would be like, instead of come on down, yeah, he came on down to the fucking floor after I punched him out, bastard. And movie ratings is another thing I've been pissed off about lately. The MPAA is just, I don't know what to make of it anymore. You get these PG-13 movies that in my day would have been R-rated. You get away with a lot. I mean, they push the PG-13 envelope. But then there's other films that don't deserve to be R that just become R. Just like, oh, well, Al Pacino's in it, so it's R. Well, I saw 88 Minutes, and I don't know if that was R or not, but there wasn't, I don't think there was an F word said. There was hardly any violence. I mean, it just, the rating was just worse than it should have been for that kind of film. And I think the MPAA is run by SEALs. Like these little SEALs are in a pool. And they're like, what do you want to rate this movie? And they're like, R, 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 R. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, is there anybody else out here that's tired of all the politically correct shit? Things are really getting out of hand now. I'm hearing like certain schools don't even celebrate Halloween. They won't let the kids dress up. Who the hell's that offending, for Christ's sake? It's just getting stupid now. I mean, it's getting so bad now that rednecks don't want to be called rednecks anymore. They're offended by that. They want to be called blue-collar suburban Americans. Wait. And I wasn't even peeing. Have you ever hit a milk pocket when you're pouring milk into cereal? Even spread around the cereal, and this somehow out of nowhere you hit a pocket, milk goes out everywhere. What the hell? So I was driving back from Virginia not too long ago, and I noticed a sign as I was coming back into Maryland that said, rest and welcome center, next right. And my first thought was welcome center. What do we need a welcome center for? I'm coming back into Baltimore. Why do I need to be welcomed back? I'm going to pull off the side of the road, or there are going to be people off the side there saying, welcome back, and I'll be, thank you. I feel welcome now. I can get back and get stuck in 95 traffic. That's great, thank you.